Hello, and welcome to another episode of Making Waves at Sea Level. My name is Thom Singer, and I have been hosting this show for almost 10 years. And the show has taken on a lot of different sort of vibes to it over time. It was originally started as cool things entrepreneurs do. And later, when I took a job working in the executive placement industry, I changed it to Making Waves at Sea Level. And now, in my role as the CEO of the Austin Technology Council, I continue to use this podcast as my own personal vehicle so that I can share ideas and things that are important to me that I hope are important to you and other people in your community. Today, speaking of the word community, I want to talk to you about this whole idea of community. You see, when I was a kid, I lived on a block that had 24 houses, 12 on one side of the street, 12 on the other. And I knew everyone's name. As a young kid, I moved away from that house in 8th grade. I could tell you who everybody was in every house up and down the street. Some were young families, some were middle kids like I was in junior high and stuff, and some were retired couples. But I knew them all, and my parents knew them all. Now, if I drove down that same street, I could still remember most of the names of the people who'd lived there, even though everyone is long gone from that block. However, on the cul-de-sac that I live on, there are 8 houses, and I only know 3 of the neighbors. And I don't know that I could tell you the last name of everybody or not who I know of those 3 neighbors, because the feeling of community has dwindled. There was a book written many years ago called Bowling Alone. And the idea was that while Americans were still going bowling, the number of people who belonged to bowling leagues had plummeted. And as you look across all things in our society, people are less engaged. Now, the downside of that is people are complaining that they feel lonely. They feel isolated. They don't feel a sense of belonging. And yet, these are the same people who are working from home, not participating and not going out into their communities. Now, I am not a sociologist. I don't know what's causing this, but I do know that it's very clear. Because I've been speaking for 15 years about the idea of how do you build community, how do you collaborate more, why do you have in-depth conversations with people, and how do you build your personal brand and your network, this is something that's very important to me. I recently was speaking to a young professionals group, and I asked the group, mostly of people in their mid-20s and early 30s, I said, what if I, the person who's 57 years old, what if I had a piece of advice that would change everything for your future career? That down the line, it would pay off so much that it would blow your mind. Would you want to hear it? And they were like, yes, I would like to hear that. And the answer was go out and meet people in your industry and in adjacent industries to where you work, and meet people in your greater community who are in the greater business community, because it's the people who you meet where the opportunities come from. We spend a lot of time in our society educating people from kindergarten through 12, and then on to junior colleges, master's degrees, training programs, etc. And that is important. Learning is really, really important. But most people never read another book after they get out of high school or college. Most people don't take courses. Most people don't go to, industry learning conferences and things like that. So the learning kind of comes to a slowed down pace. Sure, we learn on the job. Human beings are always picking things up and we're learning. But the real value, who we learn from the most as we get older, is the people we choose to bring into our life and to put into our network. In fact, the people who you meet when you're in your 20s and 30s, if you build a really good reputation, if you have a really good network, and if part of why you're doing this isn't just so that you're going to reap the reward, but you're looking for ways to help people, the payoff is going to be amazing. And yet, people question why they should go out and network. I recently was talking to somebody who said, well, I like what you're doing with the organization you work for, but I only want to go to a thing where, and this was a person who sold to tech companies. He sold a service to technology companies. And he goes, I only want to go networking where it's a whole room of tech CEOs and me. Well, duh, don't we all? How awesome would it be if there were networking events where none of your competitors could go to, nobody who sold other things would go to, and the only people in the room were buyers who needed your project. Oh my God, or needed your product. Oh my God, that is so fantastic. Yay. That's not how the world works. We have to go through putting in effort, not always knowing that it's all about us. So I believe that you have to show up in your community. If you want to be a leader and you want to be known in your community, you can't do it from home. The idea that just sending out emails or tweeting or using Instagram is going to change your career, it doesn't work. I mean, yes, we see examples of it. We see people like Gary Vaynerchuk and the Kardashians and other people who used social media and other online digital tools, and they became famous. And everything they do, people are liking and sharing and following. But for the average person, a like, a link, a share, and a follow isn't worth very much. I believe that adding one person to your inner circle, and the way I define an inner circle, and it can't be that big, an inner circle is about 10 or 12 people who they know who you are and what you're trying to accomplish in your life and your career. And you know who they are and what they're trying to accomplish. And you are all focused in helping each other, or at least you're focused on helping them. They're focused on helping you. Your whole inner circle doesn't necessarily have to know each other, mind you. But with them, you're building these uncommon connections. You really have an invested sense of friendship with people. And you celebrate when they succeed. You're never jealous of your inner circle because you know that if you or someone else provides them with an opportunity, one of them is going to come back someday and provide you with an opportunity. So I talk a lot about the sense that adding one person to your inner circle is worth more than adding 1,000 people to your LinkedIn, because likes, links, shares, and follows don't really matter. Now, social media is great because it can keep you top of mind. It can build a little bit of your reputation and brand. And if you're out of sight, you are totally out of mind. So I recommend that you use LinkedIn and whatever other tools you think matter in your industry. But you have to show up in person once in a while. I talked to somebody who was the CEO of a company, and he said, I don't like to go where there's anything except for like other executives. He goes, because the riffraff, they just want to pick my brain and talk to me. It's a waste of my time. But he wants to be a leader. Well, you can't lead from behind a VIP wall. You can't lead from over there. The way you lead is you have to be part of the community, because people do business with and those that they know, they like, and they trust. And people follow leaders who they know, they like, and they trust. If we can't trust you, we're not going to follow you. And we really can't trust you if we don't know you and like you. So we have to show up in the community more often. Now, there's been this big trend of people not wanting to participate in the community. They don't want to go to industry conferences. They don't want to go to Chamber of Commerce networking events. They don't want to show up at their local technology council. And then they complain that they're not getting the opportunities they want. They're feeling a little more distanced. So I want you to listen to this and just digest it and see if it matches for you. I am a huge believer that community, collaboration, and conversations can solve all problems. Whatever you're trying to accomplish in life, if you have more community, more collaboration, and more conversations, opportunities are going to come your way. And this is really important to that young professionals group I was speaking about, is you have to invest now, because it takes 3 to 5 years to cultivate relationships to that level where they're part of that inner circle. Just sending someone a LinkedIn request, number one, they may never see you again in that, because the algorithm, if they don't like something you did, the algorithm's not going to put your stuff in front of them. Have you ever noticed you've got tons of people who you follow on LinkedIn and you never see any of their stuff? It's because the algorithm has decided they're not important. I actually think social media was more powerful when everyone you were connected to, you saw everything in your stream. These algorithms start making decisions for us, and some people get boosted and some people don't. Have you ever posted something on LinkedIn and only gotten like a couple hundred views? You're connected to 5,000 people. That's the algorithm deciding what you posted isn't that good. Don't allow some social media algorithm to decide who gets to see and hear from you. Build real relationships so that when you reach out to people, they'll pay attention to what you're saying. Because I'm going to go back to this. When you build relationships with people and they know you, they like you, they trust you, those relationships go on for a long time. And someday someone's going to run across an opportunity and they're going to say, Diane is perfect for that, or Bob is perfect for that. And the only way they're going to be able to think of you is if you've built a real relationship. We all meet so many people, we don't even remember who they are. We've connected with hundreds of people on LinkedIn just because they're in our industry. They mean nothing to us. You have to actually have that sense of community. So my recommendation is, doesn't matter what industry you're in, look around, identify 2 groups in your local community and maybe 1 national organization and get involved. And when I say get involved, that means you go to the things they do. You go to their national conferences, you go to their monthly networking events, and volunteer to be on a committee, volunteer to be on the board, help that organization thrive, talk about them on social media. When's the last time you promoted an organization that you think is doing a great job in your industry or your city on social media? I talk to people all the time and they say, oh, this group is awesome. And I'll say, have you said that on LinkedIn? They're like, why would I do that? Well, because when you share something that brings no benefit to you, people are going to pay more attention. So often in social media, people only post about themselves. Hi, here I am. Here's what I'm doing. This is awesome. And then they wonder why nobody cares about their stuff. I think at least once a week, you should be promoting someone else on your social media. And when you promote the nonprofits that serve your city, serve your industry, you are doing a favor for a lot of people because the people who work for that organization, they care. I can tell you right now, people who put out there, wow, you should check out what the Austin Technology Council is doing, they get on my radar. People who put out there after they see me speak, wow, Tom's a really good speaker, you should hire him. They're on my radar. And people who share this podcast on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever it is, I pay attention. Think about it from your own standpoint. If someone praised you on social media, would you read it? Because they've tagged you, so you're going to know it's there. Would you take the time and read it? Of course you would. And if they've praised you, does it make you feel good? Yeah. And are you going to feel good about that person? Yeah. So make sure that you're out there promoting others. If you want people to promote you, you have to promote others. Now, the truth of this is you're going to promote a lot of other people, and very few of them are going to promote you. But if one person does it and it hits, it's going to bring you an opportunity. Why would you want to give up that opportunity just because you're trying to keep score of how many people did I help? How many people helped me? Don't worry about it. Put it out there in the universe. Just try to help people meet their goals. Zig Ziglar, the famous professional speaker and author, he said it best. Zig Ziglar said, you can have anything you want in this life as long as you help other people get what they want in this life. And that is so powerful and so true. I know we get busy. We all have deadlines. There's only so many hours in the day. You have a family, you have a hobby, you have parents, you have all kinds of people who are looking to get your attention and need to have that. However, if you just take a second to breathe and realize if you help other people reach their goals, some of those people are going to help you reach your goals. And sometimes you just need one. Early in my career, I was really helpful to this woman who was in sales in a unique industry that I didn't know very much about, but I knew a lot of people who she wanted to know. And I was just helpful. Why was I helpful? Because I wanted to be helpful. I never dreamed of what would happen next. But when her company was looking to hire somebody in Austin, she went to her boss and said, this is the person we have to hire. They interviewed several people, but I was the person they wanted to hire because I had been so helpful to her the year before. What ended up happening was I got a big raise going to this company in this industry. I had a big expense account, and it led me to getting really well known in my community. That led me to being hired away a few years later by a big law firm where I became the director of marketing for the biggest tech law firm back in the late 90s and early 2000s during the IPO boom and everything else. And that then led me to the next job and the next job. And in those jobs, those companies started having me speak to people inside the company and to clients about how to network better and how to engage in the community and build your reputation and have that community collaboration and conversation as part of your career. And that led to me becoming a professional speaker, which I did for 12 years. But it also led me into this role at the Austin Technology Council. So if I hadn't helped this person who I didn't think had anything that she could do for me, if I hadn't helped her achieve her goals and just been a good sounding board, because she didn't live in Austin. She used to fly in every couple of weeks and would go to networking events, and I would send her things saying, oh, you totally want to attend this. Or I would introduce her to people. I just did it because I want to be a nice guy. I just did it because that's what we need to do. We just need to help people. But you wouldn't be listening to this podcast right now if it hadn't been for my interactions with that woman and her telling her boss, this is the person we want to hire, and then her mentoring me on how to be successful in that industry. So as you think about how does this play out, it might take years or decades to really understand how did my being part of a community and serving a community and helping others, how did it help me? You may not know for a long time, but in a rearview mirror, you can be like, whoa, that is awesome. So start today. every single day, find one way to just help somebody. And sometimes that help is just praising them on your social media. Sometimes it's making an introductions. Sometimes maybe it's doing something bigger, but it just has to be small, but it has to be part of your soul that you're serving others, because that's how you get to know people. The more you help people, the more people want to know you. So going back again to those young professionals, I challenged all of them and I said, look, most of you will do nothing about this. But those of you who are thinking, yeah, I'm going to go out there and start building real business relationships that matter, two-way streets where I help them and they help me. And I'm not going to prejudge people based on who they are or their job title or what my ego or my agenda says. I'm just going to go out and be a good part of the community and really thrive on their success as my success. And I said, very few of you will do it, but a couple of you will do it. And I want all of you who are thinking you might do it to write down my name and put it somewhere. Because in 20 years, you're going to say, it was in this speech. He said that now that I'm out of college, I'm not going to learn that much except from the people who I meet. Because the more you get around successful people and the more you become part of their inner circle or even an outer circle, they can't help it. Success leaves clues. And the only way successful people are going to want to have you around is if you're a giver. Because the real givers out there in the world, they're getting sick and tired of the takers, because there are so many people who are just take, 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 take. Nobody wants that anymore. People are really looking for people who are sincere in wanting to help. Sure, you hope it comes back around, but you're not keeping score. So find a way to engage in community. Find a way to start building relationships and meeting new people and really cultivating friendships through those business connections that can lead to a long-term and mutually beneficial relationship. And I promise, if you do this, and by example, you get everyone in your company to do this, you're going to have more success than you would do if you never listened to this podcast. So thank you very much for listening to Making Waves at Sea Level. You know what? We're going to try and come back every single week. We've been on a hiatus for a long time, but I'm pumped up about this whole idea of sharing this advice about community, collaboration, and conversation. And I hope that you're going to come back every single week and maybe share this with your friends. Thanks a lot and have a great day.